from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's The Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, best-selling author, is my co-host today as we talk about your life, which is what he talks about on the Dr. John Deloney Show, or the John Deloney Show. What is it?
It's the we spent weeks, a lot of creative, brilliant people in here
deciding what to name it.
And we came up with the Dr. John Deloney Show.
Sometimes the most obvious things are the answer.
Man, talk about tip your nose on that one, man. Jeez Louise.
The Dr. John Deloney Show, and you need to tune into it on podcasts everywhere. It is absolutely fabulous. I listen to it every day when it comes out, and the stuff you get into, man, there's some deep life issues and some squirrely people out there. Some people's children.
Can I tell you this? It was a heartbreaking moment. It was about 3 or 4 weeks into shooting the show, and we shoot multiple episodes a week, so it got in there quite a bit. And somebody called with a question, and I just stopped and said, "Why are you asking me?" And Davis was a haunting response, and I think it's all over the country right now. She said, "I got nowhere else to go." And that it broke my heart, right? People got nobody. They're going to call a guy they don't know on the radio, right? Like, you're the guy I trust right now. And the whole goal of that show, man, is to teach people how to reconnect with their neighbors and with their local communities and just learn how to be a person again, man. We just lost it. We've lost it. Yeah.
Well, the advice is stellar. And so you guys check it out. And you can call in today, and he'll talk to you right here at 888-825-5225. You know the answer is more than just, I got nobody else. The answer is the other stuff she heard you do made her trust you.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
You know that's what really happened. All right. Steve is with us. Steve's in New York City. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Hey, Dave and John. Thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it.
Sure. What's up?
Recently retired, about a year now, 53 years old. I have my work retirement, but my mom had passed away 18 months ago. We sold her house, and I inherited $150,000 that way. Now it's up to me to invest it through mutual funds, and not super duper comfortable with it. I might have some ideas, but I don't know between regular mutual funds, tax deferred mutual funds. Do I go all in with the 150, or do I piecemeal it? And
do you have any debt?
Currently, just my one son's college. He's a senior.
How much do you owe on that?
We probably owe another $35,000 for him.
Okay, we need to set that aside, right?
Yeah, we have that, and we have some savings.
Okay, and so there's no debt associated with the college. You just have an obligation.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Do you have a home mortgage?
Not any longer. Nope.
Good for you. Okay, couple of things on investing. Let's start at the top. Number one, you don't invest in things that you don't understand. You never invest in things because some goob on the radio like me said do it, or some goob on the internet, that's even worse, said do it. Okay, so you understand it. And the Bible says in the multitude of counsel there is safety, and what that means is you get some experts around you to give you advice, and the advice is not that you follow the expert. The advice is so that you understand something you didn't understand before. So your financial people need to have the heart of a teacher, so that when you sit down with your financial person and you get up and leave, you need to know something you didn't know before you sit down. Every time. Okay. I spent an hour and a half in my office yesterday with our chief digital officer and 3 of our top senior tech guys, and they were trying to teach me.
Oh, jeez. That's why you're in such a great mood today, man.
About our digital platform. And I do not have to be a digital expert to be the CEO of this digital company, but I do have to grasp the vernacular, and I do have to grasp enough of it to help them to make wise decisions under their help. So the multitude of counsel, these experts are in my office teaching me about my company yesterday. In this case, they're teaching you about your money that you inherited from the passing of your parent, right? And so you're going to gather that up. You do not have to have an MBA in finance in order to make easy financial decisions. basic investing decisions. Now, so rule number 1 is you don't do it unless you understand it. Rule number 2 is you put somebody in your life that has the heart of a teacher. You can click SmartVestor Pro at DaveRamsey.com or SmartVestor and find the person in your area we recommend. They don't work for us. They pay us an endorsement fee, and they have to agree to approach your investing the way that we teach and with the heart of a teacher. I personally invest, Steve, inside my retirement accounts in 4 types of mutual funds: growth, growth and income, aggressive growth, and international. Outside of retirement accounts, those funds all create taxes each year as they grow. That's a problem. There's 2 ways to avoid that with your $150,000. My preference is, and the one that I personally do, is I invest in mutual funds, growth stock mutual funds, that have what's called a low turnover ratio. Now, you ready for the teaching part?
Okay.
Here we go. If you buy a rental house for $200,000 and it goes up in value to $300,000 and you still own it, you do not owe taxes on that $100,000 in growth because you've not sold the house. Agreed?
Correct.
So you've got capital gains growth, but you don't have any taxes because you've not sold it. Stock is the same way. If a share of stock goes from $50 to $70, you don't pay taxes on that $20 gain until you sell it. Same is true inside a mutual fund. The turnover ratio is when they sell the stock inside the mutual fund. If it has a 90% turnover ratio, that means almost all the stocks get sold every year, and so all those gains are going to be taxable every year. If they have a 5%, if they have a 5% turnover ratio, which is a low turnover ratio, that means you're not going to pay taxes on the increase in value until you sell the mutual fund, because they aren't selling the stocks inside the mutual funds hardly at all. Much like that rental house or that share of stock. Did that make sense?
It definitely did. So that low turnover, what number am I looking at? Is it
under
really
10? You want an under 10% turnover ratio.
Under 10%. Okay.
Yeah, because anything that turns over, the gain is they're going to send you a tax bill on the gain every year.
Every year, yes. Okay.
So you want it to not turn over hardly at all, so that it only grows without taxes until you sell it. Now, if you hold it a year, when you sell it, you're going to be taxed at capital gains rate, 15%, rather than the ordinary income rate, 30%, 40%. So right. The tax rate's also much lower for you. So it's tax efficient 2 different ways. One is you're not taxed till you sell it, and 2 is when you do sell it, it's taxed at capital gains rate. Your SmartVestor Pro can help you with every bit of that and finish teaching you what I did in 5 minutes. But that's the whole thing. All you got to do is learn some basic things like that. This is not rocket science. You just got to have somebody who knows their stuff, and they show you how, and then you know your stuff. So you do it smart. When families were asked how long it would be before they faced financial hardship if a spouse died, nearly 1/3 said they'd be in trouble immediately. This is why I talk about Zander Insurance every day. They're committed to protecting families with the only products that I recommend, and their team keeps the entire process simple and affordable. Go to Zander.com for quick online pricing or call 800-356-4282. This has to be a priority. If your family is in this situation, you need to get this done. Well, summer's almost here, but that does not mean you can take a vacation from your goals because you're a grown-up. I know the motivation to stay intense can be struggling this time of year, especially when that beach trip is right in front of you. Don't do it. And all the fun stuff. Listen, you need to stay on track. You're a grown-up. You're not a child out for the summer, okay? I'm sorry, but if you live like no one else, later you can live and give like no one else. It's about getting the small wins that lead to big results over time. Then you can vacate any freaking where you want, anytime you want, and that's exactly what you do with Ramsey Plus. Not the vacate, but the small wins. Ramsey Plus membership gives you the best digital money courses, Financial Peace University, and the tools that you need to keep moving forward, like Every Dollar, it's a huge offering in there. Your goals are worth working for all year long. Stay motivated with a free trial. Ramsey Plus, text trial to 33789. It's a free trial. Text trial to 33789. Our question of the day comes from Blinds.com. Find out for yourself why Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. You get free samples, free shipping. And with the new promos they run all the time, you save even more. Use the magic word, the promo code Ramsey, and you'll get a deal.
All right, today's question comes from Travis in Texas. My wife and I have a lot of resentment towards her family because they are not supportive of her. They didn't attend her college graduation, and at the last minute, they canceled being at the dinner where I asked my wife to marry me. Recently, we had a premature baby, which resulted in extended hospital stays, and her family never visited. This also happens around holidays and birthdays. My wife is more hurt than mad, but I hate the way they treat her. How do we move forward with her family? I think you move forward without her family. I think her family's sending you a lot of really clear signals that they don't want a lot to do with you guys. And it's everyone I know has struggled with this in some form or fashion, Dave, which is I had this picture of what I thought it was going to look like when I got married. And I thought our celebrations would look like this, and they always had 2 sets of grandparents there, and I always thought it would look like this, and then it turns out it doesn't happen that way. And I think at some point you have to call what is and decide, are we going to have a relationship on their terms, and are we going to move on with our lives, mourn it, be sad, be brokenhearted about it, and then start controlling what we can control in this deal? What do you think?
Well, that's probably one of the deepest hurts that's out there.
There is no deeper hurt.
And it is a Travis, I wish I could tell you that it wasn't that it was very uncommon, but it's not. It's more common than uncommon. What's uncommon is where everybody gets along.
Remember when I first met you, we talked about your kids, and you said, I'm friends with all of my in-laws. Mm-hmm. And I looked at you and said, I've heard that like twice in my life ever.
Yeah. Well, right? It's also a decision.
That's right. From both sets, right?
And it really, in our case, it wasn't hard because they're actually wonderful people and they're fun. And, Denise's husband's parents, Whittemore's, we go out for hamburgers with them without the kids. Right. We like them.
Yeah.
They're like friends, real friends. And so, but we made the decision to do that rather than go, why are they over there instead of over here? Mm-hmm. Why are you spending time with them? And Sunday afternoons, they're always over there. And, because that's what people do, is that bull crap.
Yep.
And no wonder, and so shut up,
Yeah.
Just don't be so dadgum needy.
But there's nothing.
But that's the thing, and that's what most people do is stuff like that. And something happened here, it sounds like they don't like Travis.
I was actually thinking they don't like you, man.
That's what it sounds like.
But who knows?
They don't approve of this marriage for some reason or another. That's what it looks like, and I don't know what that is. It could be something sick and bad, mm-hmm. Or it could be that. Whatever.
But one of the core principles...
But you can't make them, Travis, you can't make them happy.
No.
So all you can do is just love your wife and hug her because she's hurting, because the very people that she should be connected to for the rest of her life are not functional.
Have chosen not to connect with her.
They're not functional.
So one of the things I is a core principle of mine is behavior is a language, right? And so look at what they are telling you. Not with their mouth, but with their actions. With their actions. Y'all are not a priority to us. We don't really care a lot about this new little baby. That's cool. We don't want to spend time with y'all at holidays. We don't really want to show up at your graduation. These marker moments in your life, they are opting out of. They are telling you all you need to know about the status of this relationship. And so what y'all need to do is spend some time grieving it. You said it hurts bad. Because she's going to want to know for the rest of her life, what did I do?
Yeah.
That my mom and dad didn't love me.
Or even if they go, okay, I married Travis and they told me not to, and they told me they weren't going to have anything to do with it.
She made a choice.
And she said, yeah, but she never dreamed they'd follow through on it.
That's right. And they did. So you got to grieve it, and then you got to own what comes next, right?
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking, man. And then, hey, when you're married to this, provide some space for your wife to hurt every Christmas. And it may not be a big dramatic hurt, but understand that every year this is going to hurt again, right? That doesn't go away. It just is.
Every Mother's Day, every Father's Day.
It hurts, man. And so provide some space. Don't say things like, you got to get over this. It hurts. It just stinks when your mom says, you know what, I'd rather sit on the couch than come see you.
And don't, and I also, I mean, you do what you want to do. I'm just being an old guy here talking, but I would say if she wants to reach out to them, that's fine. Don't tell her not to do that.
Absolutely not.
If she wants to send her mom flowers on Mother's Day, do
Every
it.
year.
But also help her remember to keep her expectations low. The secret to happiness is low expectations.
You are providing a gift because it's the right thing to do, and not because you're hoping for an ROI on it, right?
But there's not going to, their track record. You should send your mom flowers, but their track record is you're not going to hear from her.
And you should send flowers because it's right, and it's a way to honor her.
But don't be all upset when they don't call because they're probably not going to call.
That's right.
So, but let's do it anyway.
You're going to send a graduation card because it's the right, respectful thing.
Right.
They're not going to come.
Right.
Right. And if they do, what a bonus, what a gift. And if they don't, it's what we knew was headed this way. I hate that people live in this. This is so much more common than we know.
Yeah, I've often said sometimes the hardest stage of parenting is to parent adult kids.
Yeah.
Your kids as adults, because you don't get to parent them anymore.
Right.
They get to do what they want to do.
You just got to love them.
And so you have to treat them like grown friends or something, and it's very weird and strange. And the number of friends that I have that are disconnected from their grown kids after they got married and something went sideways is astronomical.
So help me with this, Dave, because I've wrestled with this. Whose responsibility is it to mend that? Is it part of me says it's the parents?
Whose responsibility is it to mend any relationship? It cannot be one way.
That's right. Everybody.
Can't be one way.
Yeah.
You can go over and mend, and they look at you like you're
pulling the threads out.
And they keep shooting you in the face with a bazooka. Then you can't mend that because that's just neediness and enabling, right? And codependency out your ears.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if anybody does throw a rope over the fence, grab a hold of it, and let's see if we can pull together.
I have sat with a lot of people who had loved ones passed away. I've never, ever heard somebody say, we just told each other we loved each other too much. I said I was sorry too much. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
I've only ever heard, man, I should have called.
But if they just look at you and go, you're an idiot, and, I don't want anything to do with you.
Move on with your life.
Screw you.
Yeah.
I don't care how many times you say you're sorry. I don't care how many times you say I love you. I don't care how many times you call me. I don't care what you do. You're just,
You're out of my life.
Hello. That's like, she said she doesn't want to go out with you, son. You're a stalker.
There you go. So quit walking into traffic and getting run over. Right?
Yeah.
At some point, you're doing that to yourself, right?
Yeah. And it's weird when it's, in his case, or her case, her parents. That's what's, you would think they would be the grown-ups. But they're often not. A lot of times they don't have the emotional tools to. Right. Who knows how screwed up they were from the generation
exactly
before.
Right. They may have to be doing the best they can with what they got.
I don't know. I mean, you're dealing with messed up human beings for sure.
And what Travis can control here is his dignity. Continue to treat them with honor and move on with your life, man.
Yes, that's very important to not.
Don't start throwing rocks
angry
back.
As you are at them for hurting your wife that you love, you still need to not condone their behavior, but honor their position.
Fire plus fire ends up in bodies almost every bit of the time.
Yeah, it doesn't do any good, even though it's really, really tempting.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Thanks for the question, man. Sorry.
It's a solid one. It's a solid one. It's everywhere, though, brother. And I wish it wasn't at your place.
Grieve it. Move on, man.
This is The Ramsey Show. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. This is The Ramsey Show. Open phones at 888-825-5225. John and Ashley are with us in New Hampshire. It says on my screen you guys are debt-free. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done. How much have you paid off?
$75,000.
All right. How long did this take?
11 months.
Good for you. And your range of income during that time?
About $105,000 to $120,000.
Cool. What do you guys do for a living?
We work for your friends at the KGB, actually.
Okay, cool.
Hey, that admittedly took me a second, because if anyone in my life who would actually know the real KGB, it'd probably be Dave. So it took me a second, but I got it now.
The IRS.
Yes.
Yes. The phone calls that I take with individuals that owe balances are a lot different now. I educate a lot now.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That's very good. So tell us your story. What kind of debt was this?
We had one auto loan, but it was multiple upside downs wrapped into one, so it was like a $650 payment for one auto loan. Yes, student loans. We financed our bed. We had a Best Buy card for the washer and dryer, and that was it.
The way you said, we financed our bed, so we just kept getting...
I've heard him make fun of people for doing that before.
You financed what? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, haven't we all? And so how long have you guys been married?
A little over 3 years.
Okay. So what happened 11 months ago? What was the turning point?
We were on our way to make another bad financial decision. We were going to our credit union to ask about their 40-year mortgage offer, and then they told us that we could sit down with a financial advisor because we were members. So we got an hour, and he said, you guys have a bad debt-to-income ratio, so maybe hold off on that.
Oh, when the bank won't take your money, that's when you know you got a problem, right?
Yeah, so, I went home after speaking with him and, just did what most people do, just checked out videos on YouTube, and the algorithm hit, Dave Ramsey videos, and I don't know, I spent probably the next 2 weeks just analyzing until I finally brought it to Ashley's attention, and she was like, why'd you wait so long? Let's go. Let's do this.
Ah, okay.
Yep. We bought a PU right after that, and it was kind of, hit the ground running.
Just go. Game on. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, the app said it was going to take 20 months, and we did it in 11.
Yeah. Well, that's because you decided to do it all with a game-on attitude. I'm proud of you.
Don't mess with IRS agents.
Yeah, very well. What was the movie? Men in Black?
They will get it done.
Yeah.
Flashy thing me? Yeah.
Oh, man, you guys, that's impressive. So well done. So what do you, now that you did it, now that you're successful, you successfully got out of debt, something Congress can't do. What would you tell people the key to getting out of debt is?
Budget, for sure. We thought we were only going to have $100 extra a month to put at the debt, and when we did the budget, we found $2,000 that we could put towards the budget without overtime.
Wow.
The budget was, yes, and saying no. We have 3 young kids, so we learned quickly to say no.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They didn't die. They didn't run away. They didn't leave you.
They're not in counseling.
Yeah.
Right. No. They're perfectly fine. They're happy with it. Actually, we explained to them what we were doing, and they loved watching the colors of the car loan, getting higher with us paying it off. They would come in and check every day, and they'd get mad at us if it didn't, go down.
So, turned it into a game. Yeah.
Yeah. They were our biggest cheerleaders.
That's fun. Good for you guys. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of transformation happened in the house during this time.
Yes.
For sure.
So talk to me about that drive home with your head held low to that husband who's like, man, I got to figure this out, to how's your marriage now?
Well, communication is obviously the big thing. We both work there. everyone critiques us for or just asks, how do you spend 24/7 with each other? And it's because of the communication, and we tackled it together, for sure. So I am the numbers guy, and I would sit there and crunch, but she just would make it work. She took over with the budget. We'd have the meetings, and she'd sit in there and do the transactions, and so it's just the constant communication back and forth.
The teamwork.
Precisely.
Love it.
Well done, you guys. Very well done. I'm so proud of you. So this is an interesting thing I want to follow the thread through. You meet with the financial advisor at the credit union. He says you have too high a debt-to-income ratio, meaning you is broke. And you come home, spend a couple of weeks poring over YouTube videos. That leads you into Financial Peace University. What do you feel like, looking back on that journey you've been through, was the core message that you got from us that caused you to be able to do this?
To me, preparing for the future, kind of like Dr. John said, me hanging my head down low, like, how do I figure this out? Well, that was just for us to try to get out of, my parents' home with 3 kids. We were living with my parents, and, I was like, how can I, fix this, with what, it was my student loans, and, that was one of the biggest problems. But, it was just, pushing through and, looking forward to the ability to set them up, educate them so that they don't make the same mistakes that I do. So that,
so it's kind of like you're more willing to sacrifice when you have a higher calling, something other than just I want to back rep.
Mine was the give part.
Yeah.
Being able to get to the point where I can give back.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing for me, other than setting my kids up for success. But
yeah. But change your family tree and generosity are non-selfish, noble, higher calling goals versus I want to buy a nice car.
Exactly.
And by the way, you can do both. You don't have to. They're not mutually exclusive. But I want to buy a nice car someday isn't enough motivation to sacrifice. I want to change my kids' lives. You can sacrifice.
The 6-year-old's already saving for a Tesla. Because he's not going to borrow money from the bank, he said. He's going to save for it now.
I like this guy.
When he's 55, he'll have earned that money to afford that car.
He's got like 200 already.
Yeah, he'll have more than Elon has himself, so there you go. I love it. Congratulations, you guys. We're so proud of you. We got a copy of Rachel Cruz's book for you, her latest New York Times bestseller. It's called Know Yourself, Know Your Money. You guys are an impressive couple. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. John and Ashley from New Hampshire, $75,000 paid off in 11 months, making 105 to 120. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1. We're debt-free!
Yes! I think I heard that family tree joining in.
Man,
that's the way it's supposed to be.
The Roots called out on that one.
That's the way the sound. That's the way the sound of a family tree changing right there. When you get that chipmunk voice going in there with it, that's when you know you're on track, baby.
Man, that gives me goosebumps when I hear the kids yelling.
It's fun stuff. That means they were plugged in. They were dialed in. They knew what was going on. And that's Sophia. They got it on our screen here. Sophia, Jackson, and Grayson were joining in there. So congratulations.
And they got to watch Mom and Dad do hard things, and they learned, hey, we can do hard things. And there's something about growing up in a debt-free house. That's a legacy shift. There's something about giving your kid, a car and a house and paid for college. That's cool. There's also something about letting your kids watch you struggle and learn and grow.
The word no.
And then they think,
powerful word.
I can do hard stuff.
Mom and Dad can do hard stuff. I can do hard stuff.
Love it.
This is The Ramsey Show. John Deloney, my co-host today. This is The Ramsey Show. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Jack is in California. Hi, Jack. Welcome to The Ramsey Show.
Hey, Dave. How's it going?
Better than I deserve. How can we help?
So I wanted some advice on my current situation. I started binge watching your show about 3 weeks ago and decided, okay, because I want to buy a house soon. So I paid off all my credit cards. But the problem I'm having right now is I have a car I spent way too much on last year, and I bought it brand new because I drive about 100-mile round trip. So I spent $52,000 on my car. Wow. And it's about an $836 payment. And I was thinking, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and pay this off because the value has already decreased to like $38,000 when I looked it up on Kelly Blue Book. So what I wanted advice on was I have about $20,000 in my savings.
Good.
And I put my 401k on hold just last week. Because I had about 15% going in there. I'm 25 years old. I got 40K in there, which I want to use for a house. This year I'll make between 120 and 150.
Excellent. Okay, so the balance on the car is what?
The balance on the car is about $47,000 because I just bought it in September of last year.
Gotcha. So you throw 20 at it, and that leaves us with 27, and you make 100 and some change, and you pay it off in a year, right?
Yeah, so that's what my question was, because I was thinking of keeping like $10,000 in my savings.
No, you need to get rid of this car.
Okay.
You're broke, man. $800.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's horrible. I'd be freaking out.
Yeah, and I realized, watching your show, and then I started paying off my credit card, and I was like, you know what? If I want to buy a house, I'm going to have a mortgage payment and an $800 car payment.
No, you're not doing that.
Realistic.
I'll come to California and box your ears. You're not doing that. No, you're too smart to do that. Let me tell you where you're struggling. Okay. You've learned all of this information and implemented all of this in a very short period of time. Your intellect went way ahead and left your emotions behind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you understood this intellectually, and you went like ding, 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 and you start doing it, and then you're kind of like getting a little bit of emotional whiplash because this has all happened in a relatively short period of time. Agreed?
Yeah, and you know what? Watching your show helps me out so much because a lot of this stuff is stuff that my parents are very frugal, and they taught me all this stuff. And
they were freaking out when you bought this $52,000 car.
Yeah, but they let me make my mistakes.
Well, yeah, you're a grown man, and that stupid's not illegal.
And you explained it to them in a good way why you needed this one too.
Yeah, 100 miles a week, which means I'm going to destroy the value faster.
That was me justifying it in my head.
Yeah,
but I knew it was stupid when I was doing it.
Yeah, I heard you.
But you made me realize how stupid it is when I started watching your show.
I think you're smart, and I think you're going to turn this around. It's just the reason you're saying, but I'm going to keep the $10,000 is not because you intellectually don't see how this is all going to pan out. It's because you've done it all in a very short period of time, and you went from way over here in the land of stupid to rushing over into the land of the wise, and you got a little whiplash doing it emotionally. It takes your emotions a little time to catch up. So give yourself permission to go, this feels weird, but I'm going to do it anyway.
And you feel exposed when you get down to that $1,000, and I think that's the point, right?
Yeah.
We want you running.
Well, and we want all that money thrown at this stupid car to get rid of this debt. So,
but when somebody binge watches Dave, they realize, oh gosh, I'm not safe, and they immediately want to get safe now.
Yeah.
And so I get that impulse. I got to hang on to this.
And let me tell you the other thing. Those of you out there that are, you've been broke for 20 years, living paycheck to paycheck. And you work through this stuff, and you work your butt off, and you're Gazelle Intense for 3 years, and then you're debt-free, and you don't have any payments. And then you start actually getting some money, and then you look up and you go, dadgum, I have several $100,000, and I have no debt. There's another thing that happens is your emotions are still back there when you were broke.
Yeah.
And it feels weird to be able to buy a $10,000 thing and just write a check for it, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
mathematically, intellectually, but your emotions are like back there when you were broke.
Right. So you got to heal along the way, too.
Yeah. I mean, we spend more on copier paper and coffee here than I used to make.
Right.
In this building. I mean, I have 1,000 employees. But when I look down at that number and I see
your heart stops.
Numbers going through, I'm like, I'm that little 28-year-old guy that's back there broke 30 years ago. I'm like, crap!
Yes.
We spent what on coffee coffee? You know, it's like, oh, it's a lot of coffee.
So
you know,
the last time I bought a new car when I was an idiot was a long time ago. I went to we're looking at buying my wife a new car or a used car. And
new to her.
I thought, when did the prices go up? And she was like, 25 years ago. Right? But yeah, it's that same. They want what for a used car?
Yeah. But as you move away from one set of financial values and operating in one financial reality, and you move into another one, your intellect often goes before your emotions.
Almost always.
And then it's like later on. So I have to look down at the coffee bill and go, okay, this company did bring in $350 million, so we can probably cover this coffee bill. You know, so shut up, you little whining boy.
Yes.
But on the other hand, I look at that number and it still activates those old emotions. And so that tells me that still today, my emotions have not caught up with the intellectual activities required to run a $350 million company.
And it may never. It may.
Well, every time they do, the company grows. So I can't keep up.
That's right. That's right.
I can't keep. The same thing with me. You know, Sharon and I were looking at buying something last night, and she goes, I want to get this, and I'm going to spend a lot of money. And then she told me how much it was, and I went, that is not a lot of money, you little goob. Buy it.
But that 9-year-old little girl from East Tennessee is still like,
well, the one that was terrified and didn't think we'd ever be able to fill up her grocery basket again in the grocery store.
Yeah.
And now can and not think about it. But she's like, that's a lot of money. She's like a mischievous, like she's doing something wrong. I'm like, honey, put 2 zeros on it and we'll call it a lot of money.
Man,
it's not a lot of money.
I think, Dave, that is so wise that whether it's your marriage, whether it's your kids, whether it's you're in a new stage with your money, to always just pause, have some built-in pauses to go, whew. Here's a conversation we were having upstairs. We're working on this new book. We say here, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I asked the team, it just hit me like a lightning bolt. What does growing mean to you? What does growing mean to you? And they were saying, intellectual stimulation and exercise plan and a good morning routine and reading and spiritual growth and all these things. And David, occurred to me in this conversation, this is just yesterday, by the way, so I'm still processing it, but when you go lift weights, you're actually tearing your muscles down. It's when you rest that the growth happens.
Yep.
And so it's both and, right?
Yeah.
It's crushing it and reflection. Yeah. And so it's gazelle intense and I'm in a new stage here.
You are busting the lactic acid, man.
Yeah. I'm in a new stage and a new stage and a new stage.
And there's the pruning that causes growth.
Yeah.
And man, it's always a breakdown to build up.
Always. And when you read that hard book or have that hard class, it's at night when you sleep. That's when the neurons grow. That's when the growth happens, right? And so it goes back to, it's both and.
Maybe I should sleep more.
I'll always tell you that, yes. But I love this. Gazelle. And hey, don't forget to be reflective and realize, hey, you're safe now. You're safe now. And now we're going to start working about giving and building, and it's just keep make sure your head and your heart stay connected through this whole process, man.
Yeah, that's so Jack. All of that rant to say that for everybody else out there listening, what you're going through is normal.
Yeah,
it's a normal part of the process for your emotions to catch up with your intellect. Take the whole 20,000 down to 1,000. Work the baby steps like you heard when you were binging, and let's get that car paid off and get that debt out of your life. And the good news is, you can look back when you're 54 and go, one of the dumbest things I ever did was back when I was 24.
I bought a $50,000 car.
When I was 24. And you can look back. This could, you may have gotten the dumbest thing out of the way.
I wish I'd gotten the dumbest thing when I was 24.
You may have already checked that box. The dumbest thing you're ever going to do could already be on the list.
That's a win.
That's a pretty cool
That's a life win.
That's a good way to think about it.
And at the end of the day, you end up with a $50,000 paid off car. That's not a bad...
Not a bad way to end the dumbest
consolation
thing.
Prize.
This is The Ramsey Show. Have a friend or family member that needs a daily dose of Ramsey advice in their life? Let them know about the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast. It's a quick hit of advice about life and money in under 10 minutes. Check out the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Money isn't the only thing we talk about around here. Get life-changing advice on your career from my good friend and career expert, Ken Coleman, on The Ken Coleman Show.
According to a recent Gallup poll, nearly 70% of Americans are disengaged at work. If you dread going into work every Monday morning and you're just trying to make it to the weekend, The Ken Coleman Show is for you. Everyone has a sweet spot. Your sweet spot is at the intersection of your greatest talent and greatest passion. We will help you discover what it is you were born to do, and then we'll help you create a plan to make your dream job a reality. You matter, and you have what it takes. Join the conversation on The Ken Coleman Show.
Hear more from the Ramsey Network, including The Ken Coleman Show, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, it's James, producer of The Ramsey Show. This episode is over, but check the episode notes for links to products and services you heard about during this episode. Thanks for listening.